Hey Strat fans, what's going on? It's Colonel Strat, Strategy Extraordinaire here, and today we return to Warhammer 3 to revisit our green boys, the Angry Orcs. So today we're going to be diving into another Orc Lord. He's a crazy mad orc that likes to fly around on his wyvern, casting spells and shit, and it's who else should it be than Azhag the Slaughterer. Now the Slaughterer has a lot of different, he's very different playstyle to Grimgor. He buffs up a lot of different units, and mostly, he focuses, again, on himself, where Grimgor focused on his Black Orcs. Azhag is more, like, powering up himself and monsters as well, so his playstyle is a lot different. We're going to get into that as well, so I hope you like this new guide on the big green, the big green crazy meanie. And again, if you like what I do here, please consider dropping a like, maybe a comment down below. And maybe checking me your sub too if you like what I do here. And I got more content coming up. And let's roll right into this guide, Strat fans. All right, and that's Azhag himself. He looks pretty menacing, doesn't he? He's not as good as Grimgor in a fight, but he does have some pretty good utility. And I do have to amend my previous statement. He does buff up regular orcs and biggins units as well as like orc archers. He doesn't buff up goblins in that many in monsters that much, but he does have a chance to spawn wyverns in his WAs, which is a really good buff. He does have a really good research rate buff at 20%, which is insane. He has the diplomatic buff with the vampire counts and Arcane the Black, which it makes sense because of his playstyle. He has income increase from sacking settlements. He has aspect of the Dread Knight, Spirit Leech, and Azhag's Wall, which causes, base weapon damage and armor piercing plus 25, a huge melee attack buff, and then the Fear and Terror buff to his army. So that's pretty good too. That can help route some like lower tier chaff and give you the upper hand. So he does have a lot of utility. Like I said, he's given a lot of different spells that you wouldn't expect an orc to have. But he does buff up biggins, not as enough to make them like worthy of replacing black orcs, but they could service pretty well. He buffs up regular orcs, he buffs up orc missile units, but again, the buffs aren't that substantial, but they are decent buffs, and they can make it to where biggins will work in his army, because normally they don't really work that well as a tier 2 unit. They kind of fall short compared to other tier 2 units. Alright, so now that I've gone over this, let's go through this campaign as Azhag.
Once we've killed everything, no one's to go looting until I say so.
Alright, Azhag, we'll follow the rules. But just like the regular orcs, Azhag performs pretty standard compared to Grimgor and all of them. They have the same mechanics, not really anything too unique, but what he does have unique is in his playstyle. So Azhag starts with this shaman here, which will help him a lot, but Azhag's army is still pretty beefy the way he starts. He looks pretty gruesome, I mean really good, but his stats aren't as good as Grimgor's, but his weapon strength is good. He's got these 2 spells here that give him a good amount, but it's in his skill tree when he gets asked, the Lord of Death, well the lore of the Lord of Death, that really makes him insane. And also this skill right here, the Darkest Nimbus, gives him Wind of Death and regeneration, which pretty much makes him almost unkillable in a standard fight. But again, regeneration has its drawbacks. He gets Gaze of Nagash from his Crown of Sorcery, immune to Vampiric Attrition. He gets a human amount of armor, plus this ability, Azhag's Ard Armor, which is really good. Buffs him up to 100 armor. And then he can get Slaga's Slashes, which is a decent melee attack in leadership buff that buffs up his melee attack to a good amount. So he's an attacker, not a defender. But again, he's got these Earth-Shaking Orders that buffs up melee attack, melee defense, speed, and base missile damage for the orc units. He's got the Insane Visions, increases his capacity for shamans, not orky enough. Vanguard deployment for big guns and cavalry units. He's also got Imbued by Madness here at the start, which gives him all frenzy for orc units. And then Wild Abandon, which buffs up Azhag himself. And then this buffs up Azhag himself. He's got his standard red line, so it's again, like I said, he's got a few buffs to his units, but he's also got this passive ability too, which is a nice ability. But other than that, once he gets Skull Muncher, which is his wyvern, he becomes even more terrifying. Even though his melee attack goes down, he gets poison attacks, so he becomes really, really good when he gets on Skull Muncher. But again, it is a big entity too, so you got to take that into account. All right, so again, we got to start with Wa, just to go through the tech tree. I usually go for Azhag. I'm going to go Biga and Heavy Metal because you want to buff up orc units because they're the ones that are going to be, they're the ones that are going to be, you're going to be using. You're not going to be using goblin units. You attack this first Ogre Kingdom's army here. Pretty simple fight. Get some replenishment, get some scrap. Then you'll take Karak Ungor and take them out here, and that'll complete this province. Well, yeah, then you take them out here, you complete this province by taking them out. And then you'll pretty much eye Karak Kadrin, but the dwarves don't expand as fast, so you could push into Kislev or into the Darklands. Maybe attack Civil Pinnacle. It's really up to you. There's a lot of ways to go for Azhag, but you want to try to keep the momentum going, and your first wash should be one of those 3 targets, so that you can keep the momentum going. That's the thing with Azhag. Alright, so first thing we'll do is we'll get Inspiring Presence. Alright. And then this guy, Gaze of Mork. Alright. And then you can take this settlement the first turn as well. Should be a pretty simple fight as well, because you're fighting just regular ogres. Occupy. And then the first buildings you'll have, of course you want to have the orc points, the orc recruitment building, the Musta Field. Doesn't really, I usually try to get the Troll Cave, because if you have the DLC for Grom the Paunch, the Stone Trolls are like a must, because even though you don't buff them up at all, they still are really, really good. So I'll either do that, or I'll add a garrison building, or the boss tent, which is always good to have, because when you get to tier 4, you get all this goody, all that good control, which is hard in orc provinces to maintain. But I think we'll go for the Troll Cave, and we'll upgrade the Brawling Ground, and over here we'll use the Cave of Shinies to get some more money, some more teeth. Alright, Azhag, Blade Master, and then Power of the Wa. Yeah, that's a nice recharge to have. And then for the first units, do Orc Boys. Don't want to stay away from goblins, because they're not going to really, you're not going to buff them up or anything. So that's pretty much the start of Azhag's campaign. You'll want to, continue beating up these ogres here, secure the province, and then either look to the south to deal with Karak Kadrin, who might take out, who probably take out this orc force here, or you could go down the Oblast and deal with and attack Kislev, or go down here and attack the Chaos Dwarves through the Silver Pinnacle. You're pretty much secure up north. Even if the Kislev forces try to come at you, they're not gonna do so well. Fort Jakova did get a new, because of the new update, the patch, they added Fort Jacob as a major settlement. So I actually don't go for Kislev now. I actually go south or towards the Silver Pinnacle because that means that Fort Jacob is going to have a decent garrison of marauders and all that. Marauder champions, I believe, or just Marauder berserkers. And then, you know, they start with a decent Marauder force as well. So it's going to be a tough fight. They have some Norscan ice trolls too, I see. So it'll be a tougher fight. But again, if you continue to build up units, because you can recruit 4 units in this province each turn, you know, you could probably overwhelm them with orc forces. You know, it's possible. So that's pretty much the start of the campaign. Now we're going to go through the campaign a little bit, and then I'll get a first army tier army composition ready for y'all to see. Alright, and here we are with our tier 1. So for our first battle here, we're going up against Carrick Kadrin. He's got a decent stack, but we have brought a little bit more. So we're going to be able to take him. It's going to be a close victory, because again, he's got some heavy-duty dwarves, but again, we caught him before he got anything super heavy-duty, so he's got these 2 units and his slayers and himself, and that's pretty much everything that we have to worry about. So we've got our orc shaman, Azhag himself. We've got 3 orc biggins with this power-up, wizardly weapons, which is unique to Azhag and gives him more armor-piercing damage, which will be good at dealing with these dwarves here. And we've upgraded that onto them and one of our orc boys. We have a bunch of orc boys and some orc arrow boys. And then we have a unit of trolls, some forest goblin spider riders, and our rock globbers, as well as Azhag's Wa. So let's get into this first battle against Carrick Kadrin, and hopefully we don't lose. Alright, and here we are with the setup. So we're just going to try to double up the units. And I don't think the dwarves have any artillery yet, other than the trollhammer torpedoes. So we will be able to rush them pretty easily. So that'll hopefully deal with most of his army. And you know, Azhag has a decent armor penetration, so I think he'll be good. And he has this spell right here that'll be really good at taking down Ungrim. But Ungrim, being a dwarf, does have some spell resist, so we're gonna have to punch through him. Alright, so first off, let's send the biggins against the front line. Okay, send the arrow boys up. We'll have 2 arrow boys, focus on that. The rock lava, focus on them as well. These go up here. These arrow boys focus on these guys. Azhag himself, go up there. We'll have to get them up there. And then, of course, we're going to have the trolls go up here as well. And I think I'm going to send the trolls after the troll hammer torpedoes too. Or, no, I'll send them after the... No, the slayers is a bad idea. They have anti-large. So we're going to have to... Let's see, maybe I could pelt them with that too. Okay. Then, oh, no, actually, let's do this on the Runesmith first. No, I can't. Is it not able to be casted on him? Oh, maybe he's immune to it. No? Okay, we just aren't strong enough, I guess.
Let me help you.
Oh, get out of there. Get out of there, spider riders. Let's do a brain buster once we get into range as well. Alright.
Stop it, I know.
I think we just have to be in range.
Gonna cast spells.
We have plenty of magic. We just gotta get in range.
Please, me. What's your watch?
Yeah, brain bust would be great there. There we go. Let's do a gaze of Gork. There he is. Do it. Alright.
Our boys, to battle! Oh, what's that? Here we go! I understand! Choppers out! Azhag ready!
Let's activate our wall. There we go. There's our wall. Let's get these guys behind him. Well, Rock Lava is doing some really good work here.
Come on, boys! This crowd talks!
What does this do? Oh, it just reduces his power. Okay. Not like he really had any. We have to kill the Slayer King. Once he's dead, that'll be pretty much the end of them. We are going to be able to pop our wall again. Let's deal with these guys. I'm surprised that our trolls aren't routing already. But we could send our orc boys in to deal with these thunderers, get them to stop firing. Wow. Okay, Azhag's taking a lot of damage from the Slayer King. This is not good. Pop another wall. There, let's use this death magic to our advantage. I knew he was going to be tough to fight, but I was hoping that it wouldn't be this bad. Let's do another brain buster here. Yeah, that does a good amount, a little chunk. Let's do this on the troll hammer torpedoes. We'll target them. Come on. This again. Alright, they're gonna. Cast. And let's kill him. Get him dead. He will die. Well, he's almost dead. There we go. Pretty much all of them are gone except Ungrim here. He's got 40 health. We can kill him. There we go. Down goes the Slayer King. Oh, does a little bit of damage to us, but we got him. We just have to get these Slayers dead too. Alright, and we got this. There goes that Slayer. Pop goes the Slayer. Alright. Yep, there we go. And that's our tier 1 army. So again, it's not the most formidable, but with Azhag's power, his wall ability, we're able to buff it up and get some more armor piercing damage on. And early on, we're able to take out the dwarves. Now, if this was a later force, probably would not have done as well. Plus, we were able to have enough units to increase our fightiness. Melee units always help, get this bar, because you need more wall points by having melee units. So again, Azhag plays well with this strat, and this is how we beat the dwarves that easily. But if this were a later game force, our troops would not have been able to sustain combat with them that long. Alrighty, so now that wraps up tier 1. Let's go into a tier 2. And here we are with a tier 2. So for tier 2, I've gone after the Red Eye here. They're building up a little bit over here. I forgot about them. So I came around here to slap them up. They have a lot more cheap units than I thought they would have by now. I have completely gutted my regular guys and went with big uns. Now Azhag has reached rank 12, so he's able to unlock some of his buffs for his big uns and arrow boys. So we're going to start seeing those buffs pay off. So they all have Frenzy, which means they're going to have a lot more base weapon damage and armor piercing weapon damage. They're going to be doing a lot better. We have a couple more trolls. We got some boar boys in here. We still have our rock lobber, and we have an extra arrow boy. So our army's looking pretty good, and we've called a wall on one of the spiky boys. So we will eventually go over to that wall and get it, because the spiky boys give us more armor bonus. So that's always good. So we have a little bit of wall units coming in. I am actually going to throw those on AI control, because I want them to like go and distract them. So let's go into this battle against our fellow orcs. Alright, and here we are on the battlefield. Now this is one of the few lords that I will actually use my Vanguard deployment, because if you build it correctly, like with these units, these orc units, you can have pretty much your whole army right up on the enemy and start getting the fight, the wall up immediately. So I always do that for this. We'll try the channeled magic, because we're at Azhag. Ah, no. Got punished. That's alright. Alright, let's go into the battle. Let's get into it. Yeah, there's a lot of goblin archers. Go after the wolf riders on that side. Go after the wolf riders there. Let's send in the these guys. Okay, and then we'll have these guys target the goblin archers. Alright, we still only have 2 spells. We haven't unlocked our spell tree yet. But our other spells are really, really good. We'll do Foot of Gork on one of these. In fact, I want to actually do it on one of these guys over here. I think he is on a war boar, so that's good. Do Foot of Gork when we're in range. Come on, get in range. Yep, right there. Now, this is a giant ass foot. It just stomps. Does a whole bunch of damage, and that's insane. Did like half health on that thing. Alright, let's activate our wall.
Shifting! Move monster! Arrow boys! Let's do this! Run, boys! Let's get on! Moving fast! Moving fast! To battle!
All in. Well, where's their commander? I haven't seen their commander around. I guess I'll just do it on a regular unit, even though that doesn't really do much. Gotta get him out of there. There we go. Get him out of there.
Arrow boys, let's do this.
Oh, there he is. He's up there.
Get a Slaughta. Shifting. Ready to burn. Over there.
Yeah, we kind of have to just charge in. These goblins aren't standing a chance at all.
Let's fight. Jump attack.
I feel like I should have picked a better fight.
Terror boys. I'm a slaughtering. Slaughter. Wait for war. Ready.
There's a headbutt.
Moving fast. Run, boys. Run, boys. Let's go.
Yeah, they're pretty much gone. Yeah, that's the battle. The end of the battle. The goblins didn't put up much of a fight at all. They had more troops than the dwarves did earlier, but the dwarves did a better fight because they're better troops. So yeah, kind of a cheap one here. But we did take a little bit of casualties just because, you know, I forgot to micromanage my guys. But you know, that's still a tier 2 army, and even if we were fighting a more, you know, difficult foe, we still would have done all right because of all the buffs we have. His leadership for his big guns is insane right now, and the damage as well is pretty good. So he buffs them up enough that they're really good. So now that's a tier 2. Let's wrap up into a tier 3, and I'll catch you guys back on the campaign map. Alright, and here we are for the tier 3. So as you can see, we picked up some black works. We picked up some upgrades with the scrap system. And we got a couple new additions like the rogue idols and the stone trolls. Plus our Wa army is almost fully up now. So we have a fully second army that I'm going to give to the AI. And we're going up against Kislev. I had to track her down. The enemy army just kept swerving me, you know, for some reason. Probably because, you know, Azhag's so insane, but he still doesn't have Skull Smasher yet because he didn't quite make it to 14 in time. But I think this is the best opportunity because most of the other armies are kind of crappy, and this one's not too good, but at least this one's large. So we're going to jump right into this, and you know, I'll show you all the tier 3 units glory. Alright, and here we are. So again, using my Vanguard units from before, I can get a little bit of an early drop on the enemy and try to, you know, force them to waste a lot of their ammunition. And of course, I got my Black Orcs in the back, I got my Rogue Idols, I got my Stone Trolls on the side. My reinforcements are coming around here. Azhag is in the front, and so is his Shaman. We have a huge amount of Winds of Magic because of the buffs on these guys, like the ones that have the magic things. They give me a whole lot more magic to play with. So let's start our deployment and start the battle. Alright. Well, we may be drawing into the trap here, but that's okay because we have our stone trolls to go over here.
Let's get him! Jump attack! Run, boys! Run, boys! Time for slaughtering! Time for the slaughterer! Moving fast!
Alright. Moving everyone into melee. We got the stone trolls coming in because they're faster. In fact, I'm gonna have the some of the black works help out there. Alright, we're doing really good. We're starting off really, really strong. They're trying to use some ice magic on us, but that ain't gonna work. We got them clumped up over here. Gonna hit them with a foot of gork. Oof, that does a lot of damage to them. And then we'll hit them with an headbutt.
Simon!
That should be an easy one. There we go. And then we need to drain the life force of Katerin.
This is it! Smash them! Error boys! Choppers out! For gold! Choppers out! Choppers ready! Slaughta!
Yeah, they're already routing there. Let's get our wall going.
This calm whispers.
Where is she? She's going all the way over there. Okay.
Faster!
Well, let's see if we can drain the Frost Maiden then.
Let's do it! Please, one more! Smash him!
Do another brain buster. There we go.
Ready! Ready! It's your some! Smash him! For gold! Choppers out! Arrow boys!
Alright, let's go help them out. Get these Arrow boys over here as well. Help them out.
Let's fight! Smash him!
Okay, then the Arrow boys over here as well. Do some damage.
Choppers out! The war is here! The crown commands! Flash it out!
Alright, doing really good.
Let's get 'em! Come, boys! Time for slaughtering!
Alright, and here comes our reinforcements too.
Show us the enemy!
Alright, Arrow boys, kill that Frost Maiden. If we can kill her, that'd be great.
Boys. Here we go! Choppers ready! Whoa!
Alright, we're smashing them really hard right now. We're smashing them insanely hard. I gotta say, this ain't even fair because we already routed that side as well. Azhag, let's get them. Oof. We did a big amount of damage there. And that's Katerin routed. She spread her force out and tried to divide us, and that was smart, but again, the buffs that we get is just insane. We're able to close the distance on them with our big uns and just, you know, do a lot of damage. So that was tier 3. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and let's now wrap this up, guys.
Azhag is here.
Alrighty, so I hope you guys enjoyed this guide. That will conclude my Azhag guide. The Slaughterer, he can be very powerful when buffed up correctly. And you know, he does have his drawbacks, like lack of buffs for all the other monsters, but his buffs for orcs alone can just really turn the tide of battle, as you saw in the tier 3 battle. So hope you guys enjoyed this one, and remember to chuck me a like if you liked it. Leave a comment down below. Maybe chuck me a sub if you enjoy the content. And remember, as always, Strat fans, to keep it strategic. Curl out.